she can also be coming off this way because she is an entitled, privileged woman. And she's like, how dare these people make these lies up about me? And you'd get the same reaction from her, right? So is she entitled? Yes. Does that mean that what Rinna's saying is true? Not really. Does it mean, I don't know. Do you think Kyle is terrified of her sister and the breakdown of their situation? And if so, why, if I'm really scared, why doesn't she stick up for her sister and tell Rinna, shut the fuck up, that's enough. I believe my sister. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers?
Hey, cocktailers. So I just want to remind you guys, please do make sure that you're following Cocktails and Gossip on Instagram, and then B's backup, Bravo and Cocktails with 3 S's, because B's Insta Bravo and Cocktails _ is still in limbo, but we have some really amazing people hopefully helping, as we've been told, that are being helping. And so it's looking like it just needs the right person to kind of go in and fix what is wrong. It doesn't look like it's a shut off situation.
Yeah, that we're hearing. And, cocktailers, I tell you, we have some stuff in here from our lawyer friends, our lawyer followers. I have some tech followers that are helping me with this situation. Apparently, it's a complicated situation. Yeah, hackers be crazy, but we'll figure it out like we always do.
But thanks, guys, for continuing to listen to the podcast and all of that, because as always, we are still going to give a lot of exclusive tea here only. And then I just wanted to say, so today we're going to go off a little bit and talk about the show Tell Me Lies on Hulu. We're going to save that for the end, because if you haven't finished it, we don't want to spoil it for anybody. So then you can kind of pause it there and come back and listen once you have listened or once you have watched it. If you guys are not watching this show, you absolutely should be. It is about a group of friends from college in 2008 and then flashes back and forth, to current day on the show, which is 2015. So there is a situation involving a girl who dies. And as the show goes on, we get more and more information about what really happened and how they are all connected to it. The reason I got into it is because the sex scenes, they're very graphic, like very Skinamax, but like way more entertaining and less cheesy than Skinamax, if that makes sense. So yes. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so back to the Bravoverse. Earlier this week, we were the first to post about Kim Zolciak Biermann and her husband, Kroy, being in foreclosure on their home. As a matter of fact, months ago, we posted about how it looked like they were going to be moving, and it would likely be shown as wanting a change, when in reality, they couldn't afford their home. So, well, here we are. Do you want to read, or I'll read it, the post from the website. Foreclosure. This is from October 24th. From a source, a quick public notice search reveals that this former housewife, who recently sold boxes to fans that never arrived, is facing foreclosure. There will be an auction held on the first Tuesday in November. The home will be sold at public outcry to the highest bidder for cash before the courthouse door of Fulton County, Georgia.
So Amanda, and I know I have to get over this, but I'm always surprised when I get something that isn't I haven't heard before, like Naomi's lawsuit, the foreclosure. Listen, we all know they've been running schemes, Kim and co, but we had not heard in any media outlet that their home was foreclosing. But I had received at the beginning of October, one of my followers sent me this website from their county in Georgia, and it had the whole thing. And I'm like, this is weird. So I gave it a few days and still nobody posted it. So finally on October 24th, I was like, because it's going to be next Tuesday and I'm going to, go over the whole, I'm going to read the details. But I said, I'm posting it because, I mean, this is it's like the county's website. This is where
it's public record.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they post obituaries. They post all these sort of like factual things, right? So how Bravo and Cocktails was the first one to pick it up and post it, I don't know. But we were. So shout out to us. Reach back, pat ourselves. Okay, so
and to the reader and to the cocktailer who sent the link. Well, so thank you guys.
It's always the cocktailers, because if I was left to myself, I'd be like, as a matter of fact, I got an email I posted today that a follower is like, who is this? I'm like, I don't know. And like, we broke it down together and figured it out. So, I say all that to say, yeah, I mean, but a simple search in this county brings up all of this info. Now, I didn't personally post, although it was, when I say it was simple, like every follower was sending me the link. And I'm like, yeah, guys, I have the link. It had their address and I just didn't want to post that because, again, it was a simple search. So Kim and Croy's family home is valued at $2.5 million, 5 bedrooms, 6.5 baths, about 7,000 square feet. This is the home we all saw on Don't Be Tardy. Beautiful home. It's set to foreclose. It shows that Kim and ex-NFL star Croy failed to pay back $300,000 loan. A notice of sale under power confirmed that they had their home foreclosed. It's being put up for sale. Actually, it's going to be auctioned to the highest bidder for cash. And very like old-fashioned lingo, it says, but to the highest bidder for cash before the courthouse door of Fulton County, Georgia, on the first Tuesday in November, which is next Tuesday. So by this time next week, we may have some clarity. Hopefully we have some clarity on my freaking Instagram account too. The home being foreclosed upon is because of, among other possible events of default, citing failure to pay the debt. The couple took out a $300,000 loan against the home and failed to pay it back. So it basically, and I hate to keep repeating, but this is like how it's worded. So it just kept saying this. I mean, the first thing that comes to my head is $300,000 is a very normal mortgage, right? It's about $2,000 a month. Maybe at this interest rate, it isn't, but these, whatever. So how does she not have it? I mean, even through her Instagram ads with her audience, I mean, off of his NFL money, and I actually, asked my husband about this, these NFL players, just off their interest, he should make at least that. She had her cashmere company selling, according to her, $25 million in profits. Maybe she should have participated when Atlanta was filming.
Ooh.
I mean, I see the girl's hair and her hair and the clothes and the this and the that. Now, I get it. A lot of stuff is gifted. I know that just from the swag that I get and I've gotten over the years. Like, people really are willing to be very generous when you have a platform. But, like, it can't all be free. They have to be spending at least $2,000 to keep up with their nails and their hair and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny when you said that because I actually had the same thought, which obviously $300,000 is a lot of money. However, when your house is valued at 2.6 and they must have some equity in that house, that's a small amount to lose the whole house for. And, maybe it's hard for them to get a mortgage. I would think that, maybe they could find some sort of unconventional loan to just keep them afloat until they can sell the house and get something more affordable. Because I think if they foreclose, they don't get any of the proceeds, right?
Right, which leads us to believe there isn't equity in the house, which there could be a variety of reasons. And, people in real estate and mortgages and all that would understand all that very well. I mean, there were many indicators that they weren't doing well financially. We know they had a lot of scam type things going on. The Bierman box was, highly publicized by all of us accounts. The defunct bathing suit line, it was speculated it was similar to Shein, where like they ordered bathing suits kind of wholesale and just slapped a tag on it. So I'm not super surprised about the foreclosure. Like we said, we had got a lot of blinds and we posted a bunch of stuff about them and they're going to be moving and all this kind of stuff. I'm more surprised about the amount of the loan. But again, we don't know. Perhaps there was a much larger loan that they did pay off. And that's why like the 300 is like the insurmountable part. Like in other words, maybe they had loans out for the value of the home and what's left of it is 300 and they're stuck because we don't know. We don't know any of that. Certainly what I do know Because we're never going to hear the real story.
No, we're not. But it's sad for the kids, I think. I hope that this means there's something that they have like in terms of hold back and that they can still take care of the kids well.
Yeah, well, she must still make revenue from Instagram. And like I said, he has the interest on his. But in my mind, I expected Croy to be more responsible. Like, and and again, I know, we make fun of her and everything, but I like Kim. Like, I always liked her on the show. Of course, I think she's a character and wacky, but she does seem like a very loving person to her family, especially. Yeah. And so does Croy. And I always saw it as like he was the stable one and she was the kooky one,
Right. I agree.
Same could be said in my marriage, but like, I might bankrupt us, but people would be shocked to find out my husband did. So I don't know. It's sad. It's a sad.
It is sad.
I felt bad. I felt bad when I realized it was true,
Yeah.
And listen, let's see, next Tuesday. So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. I would say maybe she's looking for the attention, but she's not. As a matter of fact, we were the first ones to post it. Shout out to us. But when Perez Hilton posted it, apparently they've been friendly and she unfollowed him. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is not, you would never go to this kind of length just for attention because the wheels are in motion. I don't even know at this point if hopefully something comes in and changes and happens. But generally, I think when there is a public notice like this saying this is happening, I don't know if you can stop that train, but
I almost want to go because like $300,000 for that house is incredible.
Yeah.
A lot of followers that live there are going, by the way.
Oh, are they?
Well, not a lot, a handful. Like,
yes.
Okay, for $300,000, you'd be getting a mansion. But like, I would feel so guilty that I was like profiting off of the spoils of others. I guess it depends. I don't know.
Yes.
It would feel like a cursed house, right?
I don't think the energy transfer would be a good one.
Mm-mm.
No, I would not want that. Okay, so this week we also hear that Randall, Lala's ex from Vanderpump Rules, who we have also deep dived on, has a restraining order against him from his other ex-wife, so the one who was before Lala, Amber Childers.
Yes. Oh, according to her petition, Amber sought the restraining order after discovering threatening correspondence between Emmett and his attorney. And, by now I'm sure you guys have seen this posted online. Amber said in her declaration that she emailed Emmett Randall last Friday to alert him that she had received notice from their daughter's school complaining she was continually late while under Emmett's care, meaning late to school.
Mm-hmm.
She and Randall share joint legal and physical custody of the two daughters. When Emmett responded, Amber said his message included copies of emails he had exchanged with his family attorney. In those emails, the attorney wrote, "When you get some real money together so we can get, this is from the attorney, when will you get some real money together so we can take this CUN, okay, see you next Tuesday. I don't use that word, so I won't.
Yeah.
Out once and for all. This is not good for you and your girls." Randall then wrote back to him, "Come on, I don't have any real money." So I guess he was basically asking this guy to do him a favor. Amber also said in her filing this week that Randall offered to pay her $50,000 to stand beside him and refute the LA Times June article about him. She declined. She said because she is just as much a victim as the other victims in the article. I mean, obviously we know he probably didn't even have the $50,000. Lala has been posting in support of Amber. They actually seem to have formed a nice friendship and I think get the kids together, which is really nice. This is very disturbing.
I mean, they probably have this like survivor's bond, right? Of surviving marriage to him. I don't know. That's scary. Like, did he just accidentally copy her on like parts of the email? Like, that is what's so interesting to me is how she got a hold of that. It sounds like it was almost that, like, where she did the scroll all the way down.
Nobody has, like, Lala hasn't come out and said it, and neither has Amber. I do not believe this is an abuse situation. I do not believe, if it was an abuse situation, the girls wouldn't be with him.
Yeah.
I think he loves his children. I do not think it's an abusive. However, I do believe it seems to me that he's on something, right? That he has some sort of addiction. So,
But the lawyer, I mean, he could be disbarred for saying that. Take this
should be.
C out. That, I mean, to me, if I read that, that doesn't mean like,
it's
like, that means kill. That means like take somebody out.
like, it's always incredible how the shady people find the shady people. Like, I always find that incredible. You know, like,
I hope that guy does get, I hope the bar goes after him, because that is 100%, as
no, Randall.
the lawyer. Oh, Randall. Yeah, well, it sounds like both, right?
Because like Amber and Lala are alluding to something, and we know it's not physical abuse because the court would take the kids away. But somehow, why aren't they able to get him drug tested? I don't know. Parents have rights, you know, and California is a very liberal state. And again, I'm not making this political at all. I'm just saying, you know.
There have been allusions to, well, actually, no, this is actually in that LA Times article. The assistant, remember how he got in trouble because he had to get the safe opened and there were drugs in there in Randall's safe. So that's actually not, I was going to say, that's not a blind that we got. That was in the LA Times article. So.
But why are these kids still allowed to have joint physical custody with him?
I don't know.
Because now you have two mothers banding together to stop that. Why aren't they drug testing him?
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that poor girl too, being late to school continually. Like that's,
really sad.
Yeah, it is.
And
sad.
his kid, those two kids are old enough to know what's going on.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely old enough. Okay, so
sending love to Lala and
to
Amber
both.
and the kids, and hopefully he gets help or whatever he needs. I do think that he loves his kids. I think even though he's an absolute whack job, it's very evident that he loves his kids.
And California lawyer listeners, report this lawyer to the bar. That is just 100% not something that you would want another.
And email us and let us know why, if everything about the drugs and all that is true, like the LA Times article said, why is it that he still has?
Well, maybe they're not challenging it. Maybe
custody.
Amber hadn't challenged it. Who knows?
Maybe they are. You know, the other thing is for the older girls, not so much the baby. It's like it puts Amber in a situation of the girls love their father. So, you know.
All of that is just tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so also Beverly Hills Part 3 reunion. This week, it was the last installment. So ahead of the reunion, we had posted that we heard Erica accused Kathy of saying the slur that we have all been hearing about for months. So the email said that although Kathy's legal team tried to get it cut from the reunion, it would still air for the reunion, and it did. Kathy denied it. Kyle was crying. Erica was 100% standing behind it. Like, what do you think?
So, you know, now that it has been said on the reunion, now that it's officially an accusation, you know, I posted back in, I want to say March, the hunky-dory blind that loyal cocktailers will remember. This has been a rumor since the beginning. So for those people that are saying, where did this come from? This has always been a rumor that Erica and Rinna were running with. It got shut down. My source kept saying to me, it's not going to make it on the reunion. Her lawyers are going to have it cut. The night before the reunion, we get the email, Amanda, and it says, oh shit, they did not cut it. It's in there. That is the reason that Kyle is so upset. She didn't expect Erica and Rinna to go there. We all knew about the berating and calling them losers, and she's going to take over Bravo. That was all that's one thing for Kathy to argue her way out of. But a slur against, you know, the LGBTQ community in Hollywood is a problemo. I don't care what your last name is. You know, do I think she said it, right? That's what everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know, do you think she said it? Do I think she said it? I don't think anything is out of the realm of possibility with any of these women. I think that these women all have the meltdowns like Kathy had, except that they just don't talk about it on camera. And Rinna went there because she is super jealous of her wealth and her power. And on top of that, she walked on and had this cakewalk. She created this fun character that the audience ate up like, you know, pudding. And Rinna is a covetous person she is a person who operates, her central mode is jealousy and wanting what others have. And she's great TV. And I have loved her on the show. I have despised her on the show. But it is so obvious that she is one of the most jealous women we've ever encountered. And she will stop at nothing. Does that mean Kathy didn't say it? Not necessarily, but they've all said stuff. Look what Erica's said on freaking camera, okay? You weren't traumatized by her not caring about dead people?
Yeah. I have to say, as B just said, we've been getting emails about this. And, you know, there was a time a couple weeks ago where it's like, there's no way this happened. This is all a setup by Rinna and Erica. I was very much over there. And watching the reunion last night and knowing the things that we get emailed about, I was like, okay, and cocktailers, I know some of you are probably going to get mad at me about this, but I believe Rinna. And I'm talking about Rinna, not what Erica said, because those are two different things. But I think Erica, I think something absolutely did happen with the DJ at the club too. I don't know about saying that word because that is a disturbing word. But I believe Rinna that Kathy raged and that Kathy went off. And like, I think what Kyle was so upset about is that not only that it got leaked on, you know, after the trip in March, but that also that Rinna shared it again so publicly, you know, on the show and then in the reunion. I think Kyle probably, and online. And I think Kyle thought her friendship with Rinna was stronger than Rinna's urge to kind of mention it all. And I think Kyle is like, oh my God, like what have we done?
Okay, so I'm so torn on the Kyle thing. So here's the two things that I see. On the one hand, I see someone who you can possibly say is like terrified of her sister, terrified of the family breakdown. On the other hand, I see someone who is so quick to be sharp and cut people off and nasty. We saw it with Dorit on the reunion. We saw it certainly with Crystal. We see her go for Garcelle, who's a very strong character. I don't mean to say character, but a very strong person. I think of them all as characters on the show, you know? But yet but like she doesn't back down. She has gone at it with Rinna over the years. So now, obviously, it's your older sister. It's a different animal. But the other side of me says she's just playing a martyr because Kathy very obviously can seem unsympathetic, right? Because there is obviously, and we all watch the reunion, there's an air of, who are you talking to? So I think that you can look at it from Kyle was playing into that, knowing, right? Being very savvy and knowing what her sister's read would be. Let's say there's a world where Kathy, you know, did vent a little bit to Rinna, but it's nowhere near what she's saying, and she never said the slur, right? Kathy we all think she's very savvy and all that, but she's not as well versed in reality TV as Kyle is. So she can also be coming off this way because she is an entitled, privileged woman, and she's like, how dare these people make these lies up about me? And you'd get the same reaction from her, right? So is she entitled? Yes. Does that mean that what Rinna's saying is true? Not really. Does it mean, I don't know. Do you think Kyle is terrified of her sister and the breakdown of their situation? And if so, if I'm really scared, why doesn't she stick up for her sister and tell Rinna, shut the fuck up, that's enough. I believe my sister.
Well, I think she did say that to a certain extent. She did.
Didn't.
She said, I do not think Kathy said that word.
No, she said,
I did not
hear her say that word.
I don't think she did.
Which is different than her saying she doesn't think she said it. And also, yes, Kathy went in about Kyle, but if she's really terrified of her sister or she wants it to go away, she can say, what my sister said about me, Rinna, is between me and my sister. You have brought it to my attention. I'll take it from there. Butt out. And I'm not saying that Kyle needs to do those things, right? I'm not saying she can be angry at Kathy and she can decide that it's too far, but like, say that then. In other words, say like, you know, Kathy, you fucked up and I'm not backing you up at all. You're going to take whatever
Yeah.
Rena, you hear me? Rena and Erica have, and you're going to
I do think there is a bit of a martyr piece there. It's really hard to tell kind of what exactly Kyle's motivation is, but here's the other thing. So I'm sure you probably saw on social that Kathy commented on a comment about Kyle. So I want to read this because she did this in writing and it was this week. So Kathy goes off on Kyle being actually the one behind the Rinna and Erica thing. So, and about them speaking out about her meltdown. This is what it said. To those saying, why would Kyle let Rinna do this? Understand one thing. She, meaning Kyle, has not just let them do it. She is behind them doing it. It's how she has operated all along and people still aren't seeing it. Rinna attempts to destroy her acquaintances. Kyle does the same thing to her own family and friends. She will do anything for money and social status, whether it's laughing at a 14-year-old black boy getting verbally abused and cheering it on with her husband, or destroying her sister Kim at her most vulnerable. There is nothing too low for Kyle Richards. If that was really Kathy, I mean, wow.
You know, I think that when you put it like that and you put all of those situations together, that statement makes a lot of sense. But then I also think of all of the times that Kyle has spoke out for people and has, I mean, I have to tell you, Maurizio and Kyle laughing at what Erica did to Garcelle's son is disturbing, and that really stuck with me. I think the Kim thing's more complicated. I don't think Kim's innocent. I think that, you know, the whole thing with the house, and I don't believe that that was what it was. I think that Kim couldn't afford the house and they bought her out, and so that's what it is. You know, certainly Mauricio and Kyle were not in the same financial position they are now, nowhere near it. And so if my brother and I inherit a property and he can't pay it, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy you out. Here's your $300,000, Kim Zolciak. You can't turn around and be mad that then I leveled up because my husband and I could afford a better property. Like, that's not fair either. So I think that when you look at all those situations, there's more to it. That blanket statement, yes, it makes Kyle look bad. But the thing with Garcelle's son, because Kyle is very likable through and through, all of the stuff that she's done over the years, much more so than Rinna. I mean, she's been able to really weather the storm. And I mean, even the Lisa Vanderpump thing, she turned on that. That was her ride or die, and she turned on her because of a Radar online article. I mean, what about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be like, you know. So I'm very torn on Kyle. I'm very torn because a part of me sees her as a victim, and another part of me agrees with what you just
read. And I honestly...
And both can be true.
Yeah, but I also think even if none of that is true, then holy shit, Kathy... Like, I look at that, I'm like, who would put something like that in writing about their own sister? Like, what does that say? That changed my view on Kathy quite a bit.
But she liked it. She didn't.
No, she wrote it. She wrote that as a comment.
Oh, yeah. I thought she just liked it.
The way that I read that article, so you guys correct us, but is that Kathy literally commented on a post with that.
I thought she just liked the comment.
Yeah, well, let's see. I don't know. I thought she wrote it, but so you guys tell us. But
you know, I mean,
either
semantics,
way,
even liking it is meaning you agree with it. So,
yep.
And how'd she find it unless somebody wrote it for her to like? She's not exactly tech savvy. What about they're both rotten, motivated by money, and they don't have loyalty to each other at all, and their loyalty is to their husbands and their children. And if that's the case, then be estranged.
Yeah.
I mean, siblings are estranged.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know,
it happens.
Or if you don't want it, then go to therapy with each other.
Yeah, and really let it go.
I don't really need it on my television anymore. And that doesn't mean that I want Kyle off or I want Kathy off. I'd like them both back. I don't need this on my television.
Yeah, the deep family feud stuff, I agree. Because it's like, that's exactly, if you're going to go to therapy, you've got to really go to therapy and really let it go. And because it's just like, you know, Teresa and the Gorgas, like they keep bringing up the same old shit, even though they've been through all the therapy. It's like at some point you got to just let it go.
But like, okay, so Kyle playing a martyr, right? And saying things like, it's always my fault. So if you really are a martyr and you really do feel like it's always your fault, then wouldn't you just do what your sister wanted? And I'm not saying that she should or that that's the right thing to do. But the fact that she doesn't goes to show that she's not her puppet and Kathy isn't the boss of her. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
this is my thought. I think where Kyle's coming from is that she can never win because people are going to be fighting with her sister, and her sisters are always going to expect her to take their side above all, right? And so my answer to you, Kyle, because I hear you, and I think that is absolutely the dynamic that is happening. But if your family is the most important thing to you, then you're not on the show.
Well, here, and I have another thing. How about this? If Kathy thinks this about her sister Kyle, if Kathy saw her sister Kyle do it to her sister Kim, why did Kathy go on the show and assume that she wouldn't do it to her if this is who Kyle is? Why would Kathy go on the show? Why wouldn't she say, I'm not going on that show. My sister's wicked. She turned on Kim, and I don't need that sort of stain on my reputation. And so now I say, Kathy clearly doesn't believe that Kyle would have done this, which is why she's so angry and upset. More to the point, Kathy didn't see Kim as an innocent. Kathy saw that Kim had some wrongdoing in that, which is why she felt that she could go on the show and be okay. So how about them apples? I mean, I could argue every point in this situation. I could make them both right. I could make them both wrong. The one constant for me is that Rinna didn't need to take it to the place that she did.
Yep. Agreed. And it's like she almost liked, and all over the place, right? On social media, I think she's just really been embarrassing herself. Like she is definitely coming off as unhinged in many ways, and having, I think it's unfortunate because I loved Rinna, but I am not so loving her.
I'm kind of happy to be, but okay, this is the end of Beverly Hills for a while. I do have, you know what? I'm going to save that for our exclusive subscription because I do have some tea on upcoming filming. Just quickly, we'll chat about Salt Lake City, right? Because I feel like we're in the gearing up stages. It looks like next week's going to be a hot one, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss. So I'll quickly talk about what we're going to see. You know, their ski trip was cute. The whole Angie Harrington thing. I can't stand her. First of all, I keep thinking it's Christina Applegate. Anybody else? She looks just like Christina Applegate. Okay, she looks like her too, but I don't know her as well. I don't know. She just looks like somebody, and she's just a tryhard.
I agree. I think she's definitely a tryhard, and also ran. And it's very interesting that what Jen said about her husband having a website exposing the Shaws. Like, ugh. I don't know. I think I was kind of honestly sort of bored by the whole episode. I feel like the preview for next week was literally the best part of the show.
I love that we see Whitney say that one of the reasons Justin was let go from his job was because she was a public figure. Newsflash, you're starting filming your 3rd season. So I think the employers know. I don't know, maybe it was that random sex scene they did where they were rolling around in mud that they were like, all right, this is too much. Angie's husband, we find out he has a website called Shaw's Exposed. I want to hear about that. It's all looking good. And I'm very happy to see Meredith and Seth in such a good place.
I think they're so cute. Like, she was playing with his hair. I don't know what it is about him, but I find him to be very sexy. I don't know why. Gorgeous.
I know. It's kind of like crazy they were separated so long. Yeah, I think they're a beautiful family. I mean, Brooks, the face on him. I just look at his face like the only other kid, well, no, there's a lot of good-looking kids, but the other kid who makes me just stare at his face because it's so perfect is Frankie Catania Jr. I just look at his face and I'm just like, it's such an incredible mix of Dolores and Frank. Like, he doesn't look like either of them. It's like the best possible version of them together.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Winter House because we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. And I know that the cocktailers are loving it and they want to chat about it.
Everyone keeps asking my thoughts on Craig because everybody knows I'm a Craig fan. And listen, we hear Paige say it in her confessionals. I get it. I get that Craig is acting like a petulant child in some of the scenes and he's aggressive and he's drunk. I also think it's very weird to be placed in a house with people that there's lingering issues that you don't live near the people or get to see them. So it carries over from months, right? Like he had that fallout with Luke in July, and this is probably the first time he's seeing him since then. So there's no like time to work things out. Everything is so alliance based. And I think that Craig's honesty gets him in trouble. As an example, Jess was very clearly uncomfortable. And I mean, shouldn't somebody step in if a woman is saying, as she said to Amanda and Kyle, like, I don't feel
Yes.
comfortable, right? Like, I need to say something to him. I don't feel comfortable. And then he touched Paige, which I don't think he meant. And Paige said on Watch What Happens Live last night, she's like, I know Luke a long time. I don't think he meant, I would have let it go. It wasn't a thing, but it was Craig being drunk, wanting to say something about Jess, but like, he doesn't even know Jess that well. So it was kind of, I guess he was like going between, is this my place? Like looking around at the other guys, like, are any of you guys going to say anything? And then when he like rubbed Paige's head or whatever it was, it just like clicked and he was just like, what the F, man? And I kind of feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because if none of the guys would have said anything and we would have been watching the same show and Jess would have been increasingly getting upset, right? Because the behavior wouldn't have stopped. They'd be saying, you see, the old boys club, the good old boys, they don't even say anything when the girl's expressing that she's uncomfortable, right? And so should Craig have threatened to throw Luke through a window? I mean, obviously no. I think it was like kind of sad to see like from Luke's perspective, because I definitely feel like they all were like, Luke just doesn't get certain things. And like, I do believe that. Like, I don't think he's some predator, okay? I don't think he's some bad. I think that it's a case of, I saw him at BravoCon. You know, he's tall. He's built like he's carved like a statue in Florence. I mean, and his face is beautiful. So I don't think it's often that he flirts with a pretty girl. And let's face facts, she was flirting back initially, right? And we know we're women. It's okay to change your mind. And I think that alcohol and everything got lines crossed. I certainly don't think he's a predator, and I don't think he's a guy who's used to hearing no.
Yeah.
And she never said no.
But I mean, she was not leaning into him. She was leaning away. Her arms were crossed. Like,
I get it.
It was very clear to me. And I think, I think the other thing that happens too is
also when you edit something, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you edit something, right, it can seem that way. But all of these things were literally happening in an hour window. And if he's drinking, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was obvious and maybe he's just not used to girls not liking him.
I think it was probably made a bigger deal of, I think he did not cross any line, like he had his arm around her. Right. And it's just one of those things where I think it's probably a lesson for everybody, right? Like, if you're uncomfortable, say you're uncomfortable. If somebody is acting uncomfortable, you need to learn how to read those signs and back off.
I have to tell you something, and my son is young and he's not up to dating, but it was funny. We were having a conversation, a group of my friends, and we were talking about like, oh, who's going to do the birds and the bees talk? And I was like, listen, the very first thing we need to talk to these boys about, because it was a group of my friends who have sons, who are sons or friends, is consent. That is the very first thing that parents need to focus on, is consent and reading cues and asking, even if it's weird to ask, can I kiss you? Is it okay if I touch you here? These are very real conversations that we need to be having with our boys and our girls.
Yeah.
Right. But especially our boys, I mean, the way the world is, our boys need to understand consent.
Right. And consent isn't just one time. Consent is a continual conversation as well. So I agree with you. And I think that that's a great conversation. And then also just respect too.
Follow me for more parenting advice,
Okay. So speaking of Paige, and what about Watch What Happens Live last night?
Oh my God. Do you want to recap it quick for those people who may not have watched it? I mean, if you're listening to this, everyone has seen it by now.
And if you're following us, we're definitely talking. B has definitely been posting about it. So Paige and Amanda are on Watch What Happens Live last night. Andy asks Paige and Amanda, who is meanest to fans? Like, not exactly those words, but along those lines. Paige laughs and says, no one from Winter House. which was a great answer, I thought. And Andy says, Linz. And Paige laughs and says, I never said that. And then Amanda just says, Lindsay. So, and then Paige goes, ooh, you're getting an uncomfortable text later.
Yeah. And so Andy goes, really, at BravoCon? And Amanda's like, no, she was great at BravoCon. It's more like when she's caught off guard or it's not like a meet and greet. So, of course, Lindsay takes to her stories and she goes off. She's like, how dare you drag my name through the mud? I went to over 30 events for Loverboy. Yes, it's my boyfriend, but I'm not a paid employee. I support your brand. And she also showed screenshots of her posting with Loverboy.
Well, and she's getting hair and makeup done out, I'm sure, out of her own pocket to be make appearances at these events. So I hear you on that one, Lindsay.
I hear you. And more to the point, I think that maybe the bigger conversation should be that maybe Lindsay should, and I'm not saying make her a paid employee, but Loverboy is a very successful company and Lindsay does draw a crowd, right? So if I see the flyer and they're coming to my town and I see that Amanda, Kyle, and Carl are going to be there, maybe I'll go. But there are some people that when they see Lindsay, they'll go because they're like, oh, I got to meet Hubs. She'll be activated, right? So, maybe she should get an appearance fee. Maybe that should be the conversation. So there are no hard feelings. And Amanda, I heard from a lot of followers today. At the meet and greets, absolutely. She's always been kind. That's what I'm hearing. I heard from people who have bumped into them in the city. And I've heard different things. I've heard, she's not the warmest. She's not the whatever. Here's my thing. Everybody can't always be on.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm anonymous and thank God for it. But if I ever was like a person, like a public figure, I have many different moods, right? I mean, I'm very honest about how I am. If I'm sitting there with you and you and I are in an intense conversation, let's say something happened with you, right? And you're talking to me about it. You're downloading me and, we're in a moment and somebody just walked over to me. I might be like, hey, what's up? I'm sorry. Or honestly, there are times I was at work the other day and it was we know that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and you're supposed to wear pink. And I was wearing pink. But I just was having a day. I didn't look great, and a coworker was like, oh, let me get a picture of you. I was like, honestly, really not today. And I think I was kind of bitchy about it. But if I were a celebrity, that simple thing that many people would do would be like, oh my God, she's such a bitch. Yeah. So I just feel like you could say that about anybody. And sorry, I find it hard to believe that Amanda's always on.
Well, yeah.
She's not always on, even on TV. I mean, everybody's moody.
Well, and, the other scenario I always think of, and I've seen this happen, is, okay, same scenario, except, you and I are both celebrities, whatever, or you're a celebrity, and we're having this intense conversation, and somebody at the next table over is just blatantly filming you. I have seen that happen, and it is, I don't know how people handle it, because it is very disconcerting. It feels very, very, it's huge invasion of people's privacy. How can I tell you this intense story as this person is just sitting there blatantly filming? I would be so distracted. It would ruin my night. So I think with celebrities, I always give them a ton of room on that kind of stuff, because again, and then it's just like anybody, you never know if somebody is just literally having the worst day.
But I think also the thing that I find funny is that Lindsay got so offended by it because I don't think what Amanda said was such a big deal because she said it's when she's caught off guard. But also, I don't know, maybe it's just my opinion, but I don't see Lindsay as this sweet, lovable person. I see her as kind of a tough bitch. And I don't mean that as an insult. I consider myself a tough, I'm a nice person. I'm a friendly person, but I'm not necessarily a saccharine sweet person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So and that's okay, but why are you so offended? It's out of the realm of possibility that you're kind of fresh. I don't know. You're kind of fresh on TV.
This is why we like it.
You're kind of fresh on Watch What Happens
Live. This is
Live.
why we love her. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Right. There are people I would be surprised if I heard that about, Stephanie Holman, as an example. She comes to mind as a saccharine sweet person who's always nice and sweet. If somebody told me she was a bitch repeatedly in person, I'd be surprised by that because I'd expect her to be like, hi, honey, love, blah, blah.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so while we're talking about all these folks, how about a little shady and fun tidbit for our Southern Charm ladies?
Oh, wait, but no. Before we move to Southern Charm, I wanted to say about the Danielle and Lindsay
Oh,
thing.
I forgot. You have that email you want to read. Sorry.
So we got this email and I didn't post it. I was planning on posting it today because I told you guys I time my posts. And then last night, Amanda and Paige both said, like, they're definitely never being friends again. Like, it's not just a small fallout. So we had this email, Summer House fight, former besties. So last night on Watch What Happens Live. Oh, no, I got this today. So last night on Watch What Happens Live, but I have gotten stuff
Yes,
about
we
that,
have for a
right?
while.
That it's not some. We said a few times on here, oh, they'll move past it. And I keep hearing, like, oh, no. They're not moving past this. So last night on Watch What Happens Live, you heard that fellow castmates don't think these former besties will ever make up. Best friends know everything about each other. This summer, they both said things, shared things that were told by the other in absolute confidence. We'll see it all play out on our screens. Yeah, there's no going back for these two former besties. And Amanda and I have received a lot of stuff like this. We don't have specifics, but the general gist of what we're getting is that when they had this fallout, they both sort of like, basically, listen, what do you tell your best friend? You tell your best friend stuff that you don't want anyone to know. And it seems like they both let out a lot of that kind of stuff. This is what we're hearing.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that I'm reading that, and we haven't gotten a ton of information about exactly why, or at least not in through the emails, exactly why they fought. And so this is, where it says best friends know everything about each other. Clearly there's, been some confidences broken that you can't go back.
It sounds like on both sides. I guess we'll see who did it first, and then I guess the other retaliated.
Well, we'll be talking about it. Okay, so now moving on to Summer House and Winter House.
No.
And Southern Charm. No, I guess it's just Southern Charm.
It's not our fault. It is not our fault. They blended these three shows and
They're
now we're
all
fucking
on each. I was so confused watching Winter House the other day. I was like, is Austin like staying there, or is he just visiting? And then I was like, oh, that's right. They did say at the very beginning that he is coming late, because I was legitimately confused about why he was hosting a party when he was just staying with them. It took me a couple minutes.
And I also have to say, before we leave Winter House, I think that Rachel and James, and I know we met James before.
Jason.
Why do I always call him James? Always. Rachel and Jason are such a breath of fresh air. And honestly, for everyone saying that, like, oh, fame goes to their heads and Craig with the new money, yeah, no shit. And you want to know what? When I had 1,000 followers, whatever, maybe when, it goes to everybody's fucking head, okay? Goes to everybody's head when you're like, oh my God, Craig, oh my God. And I mean, what? I don't know. We live in America where, like, the American dream is to make money. And now you're shocked that he gets drunk and brags a little bit. I don't know. I don't find it offensive. Maybe I'm that way. Maybe I'm a bragger, and I am. And I'm the first one to admit I am. Oh, look, my blind's right or whatever. I don't know. I don't find it offensive. Is it a little obnoxious? Sure.
I think of it as marketing.
Yes, there you go. All right, let's go to Southern Charm. We can't leave Winter House.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to share this little bit that we got?
This is funny. So before Amanda moves into more deep diving on Naomi, because there's more. So our boy Justin Anderson, who, for those of you that don't know Justin Anderson, you have to follow him. He's a celebrity hairstylist. He has an incredible line of hair products, and it sounds like it's an advertisement for Justin. He's actually Kristen Cavallari's hairdresser.
And you guys, sorry to interrupt, but you should follow him, because when he shows up on live in the evenings, chances are he's been into the liquor with his boyfriend Scoot. And I mean, some of the funniest shit goes on his lives. Like, he will get just drunk and say the funniest and do the funniest stuff.
And half naked.
Yes, I highly, highly recommend.
And they're both beautiful. They're like beautiful. So he's so shady. I love him. So Justin was very friendly with Madison LaCroix and like all the Southern Charm people. But what had happened was we remember that when Kristen broke up with her husband, Madison had a fling with him, which I don't know that Madison and Kristen were friends. They were acquaintances, certainly, because Justin's friends with him. but he was so shady. He was in Charleston filming something for his hair care. I think it was for an extension line, but I don't know if whatever, some hair situation. And he was there with Austin, of course, because, Austin, there's not an envelope that opens in Charleston that Austin doesn't attend. And then Olivia, Leva, and Taylor. And he basically was posting them like the hottest girls in Charleston, all this, all that. I mean, it was very obvious that, yes, he was happy to be with them, but, it was shade at Madison because it was his girl and he disowned her because Kristen's his best friend. And it's funny because we forget what a mess like Madison, prior to meeting her fiance, after Austin, we had the A-Rod debacle, then we had the Jay Cutler debacle. Like there was so much mess with Madison.
I mean, I think it just kind of follows her. I think she's just one of those people who is just part of her persona. Okay, so all right, we got to talk about this. So last week we did a deep dive on the lawsuit filed against Naomi Olindo by her former, we're just going to say associate and you'll see why here in a second, Ginny Cox. The Ginny Cox is alleging fraud and other kinds of charges against Naomi. If you haven't listened to last week's, definitely go back because we got the court documents in both cases and shared a lot more information than we have seen reported elsewhere. It's just a matter of having to sit down through, like, I think one was 32 and one was 41 page court document. So
thank you, Amanda.
I love this shit. Okay. So, but in a very super summarized sentence, Ginny Cox is alleging that Naomi told her they were 50% partners, but then didn't pay her 50% of the profits and ended up locking her out of the business. So last week when we talked, we said, of course, this is just the one side of this case. We look forward to sharing both. So that had been, the case had been filed in late September. And so had not really come to light publicly until before that. So Naomi has now responded with and filed a counterclaim, which came out yesterday. So I got the text from B. I was like, okay, I'm on it. Go find the court case documents, which I'm getting to be really good at, gotta say. So, and then went through all of the key counterclaims. So there are literally 41 pages of the document. So I'm just going to go through the highlights and this is again from Naomi counterclaiming against Ginny Cox. So the document starts right out by saying that Ginny is a disgruntled former employee of LeBay, the store that is at issue here, that she was terminated for employee theft and other misconduct, and that Ginny filed the defamatory lawsuit with intention of extorting money through a set of claims that are knowingly false. It says that Ginny hacked into a private account belonging to Naomi and the company and stole credit card points in order to book a personal trip to Boca Raton, that she got caught and was told to cancel it. So then Ginny started to, this is all allegations from the document, guys. She started to steal items from the company inventory to sell for cash at a local consignment shop, that the company discovered other instances of misconduct and theft, but doesn't list them. It says that Cox was never an owner, that she contributed no money, no financial risk, and was placed on salary because she couldn't afford the investment or risk required to be an owner. We're going to come back to that in a minute. It says that Cox was the first employee and on occasion was referred to by Olindo as partner, but that Ginny suggested that Naomi call her that so that she would have more respect. We're going to come back to that in a minute too. And that Ginny also had business cards that said owner/buyer, but that was only because they wanted Ginny to be able to place orders on buying trips. And then I'm going to quote this exactly. Cox and her attorneys do not understand what being an owner of a company really means when you consider the facts. And
that's from Naomi's attorney.
This is what Naomi attorney put in this response, that Cox and her attorneys do not know what being an owner of a company really means when you consider the facts. So this is what I think this is where we're going to start to get into some interesting stuff. And I want to come back to all of this stuff because I have opinions. Okay. The facts that were listed after that quote, Cox never invested money, which is inconsistent with claiming to be an owner. Okay. I got to just say this right now. That is not true. You do not have to invest money in a company. There are companies where nobody invests money and it's all the company, makes money, right? So I just have to say that.
I can think of one company that started with just sweat equity and specific skill,
too.
and that's BravoandCocktails.com, because Amanda and I went into it and I said, all right, we make profit. Here's your share. Here's my share. My skill was getting the tea. Her skill was the website and obviously all the technology and stuff that goes into it. And now it earns money. And we started without a dollar. So it was just time and skill. And an attorney wrote in, a follower, all like really interesting stuff about that. I'm sure you did.
I did. And so it's hard for me. I'm like trying to not insert my opinion because I'm still reading kind of the stuff here, but like I had to, because that's just not true. And that's why I said quote unquote.
Our example isn't an opinion.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. You and I created a business without putting a dollar
exactly
into it. Well, okay. When we started, what were we paying? $12 a month, $12 a month for our site fee, which
came out of
by the end of the month.
Yeah, we were profitable from month one, peeps. So call me because I'm good at this shit. So Naomi's lawyers put this in writing in there, and the stuff it makes me question how good Naomi's lawyers are, honestly. So it says that funds needed to start for the business came through Naomi and her family. Cox insisted on a salary. If Cox thought she was an owner, she committed tax fraud unless she claimed ownership on her annual tax returns. In 2021, Cox was told by the company she had to give up her salary and invest in the company if she did want to be an owner. That Naomi and Cox discussed a profit sharing plan, but that's not the same as rights to ownership, which that's true. Cox's salary was not adjusted based on profits or losses as would have been if she was an owner. There's a shades of gray on that one that I won't even take time explaining. Cox has no responsibility for the company debts. All corporate documents and tax returns confirm Olindo is 100% of the owner of the company. And actually, Ginny has been saying that too, but that it was done behind her back. Okay, so the thing that's interesting is, so as part of this, Naomi responded to the claims from Ginny, right? But then also makes her own counterclaims as part of this. So in the counterclaims, Naomi says that she didn't take a salary and that she lived off savings, but she paid Cox a salary as an independent contractor out of Naomi's own pocket while they were getting the company going. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. This is something I thought was interesting though. So Naomi has an affidavit in the document from a prior employer of Cox's saying that she stole from her. The lady's name is in there. It's Lydia Ann Bell Mack, owner of Shop by Anna Mack. Mack says that when Ginny was employed at her stores, she found discrepancies with the inventory that was unaccounted for or missing, and then saw Ginny wearing those items on social media, and that Ginny said she forgot to pay for those items and that this was thousands of dollars worth of items. So again, guys, when somebody makes counterclaims, that doesn't zero out other claims. So if what they're saying is true, if Ginny did steal, but Naomi did something shady with the ownership or whatever, those two things wouldn't cancel each other out in a civil suit like this. So just wanted to kind of point that out for a second. Let's see here. Naomi says that Ginny was aware that the LLC was filed as a single member LLC because Ginny had access to a binder called Legal that she would use regularly for other stuff. This I thought was just kind of a funny detail that in November of 2021, Cox broke up with her boyfriend and stopped really working, but she came into the store and spent entire days lying and lamenting on the couch in the office and complaining about her relationship, shopping online, reading Reddit threads, and passing off work to other employees. I was like, I love the shade in the lawsuit.
I mean, Sounds like a Saturday afternoon.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
and like, okay, side note, like anyone who watches Southern Charms knows that that's basically like every single person on Southern Charms. So I mean,
I know it's true.
It's just
it's
kinda
true.
funny.
You never see a lot of them really hustling that hard. Let's see what else here. Some more details. That's kind of more of the same. Here's one that's good though. That after Naomi realized that she thought Cox was stealing, so she went in and put a Ring camera in the office. And then right after she left, Cox disabled it within 2 minutes. That Cox, this one was interesting too, that Cox broke into on Naomi's computer and then looked at Naomi's mom's accounts, printed them out, put them in her car, and talked about what was in the accounts to their mutual friends.
Okay, wait, stop. What kind of accounts? Like bank accounts?
It didn't say bank accounts. I don't know if it's credit card accounts or what, but it was clear.
Okay.
Yeah, that is this financial stuff.
Here's the thing. Okay. There's so many opinions I have. But like, nobody has access to my accounts, be it a credit card, be it a Facebook, be it a checking, savings, IRA, bond, retirement, what the fuck have you. Nobody has access to those accounts except me.
Yeah.
Why would anybody be in a situation where it is that easy? Why does somebody know your password? Like your mother's information?
I just don't think
I'm
some people are
sorry.
very smart.
To me, that's negligence on your part.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, that's like, listen, it's like nobody should take what's not theirs, but I'm not going to leave my wallet on
the sidewalk.
Right.
Exactly. I totally agree. It says that she charged thousands of dollars for personal things with the company Amazon or Amex, including Ubers, Uber Eats, groceries, travel. She took and gave away inventory. And then the last thing is there's a deposition from a girl named Madison AC. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, who is a marketing director of LeBay, saying that she herself witnessed Ginny fill up gas in their own cars, that Naomi would never notice, that she saw her locking the door to the office and getting on Naomi's laptop when Naomi wasn't there, and that she also saw her taking clothes to a consignment shop to pay for a trip. So, okay, so that was with a few of our opinions sprinkled in. Hopefully that was clear when we had an opinion in what was in the court case. I have a few opinions on this. So now that I've read both sides, I think the biggest thing that I think is very strange is in business, you don't ever use the word partner with somebody who is an employee. That is just not that's not a thing. Like, that's not a, I want to get her respect kind of thing. If you wanted to give her respect.
No, a respect thing is an associate.
Or call her, this is my, head buyer or vice president of merchandising or president of merchandising, right? You don't call him partner.
I have a family member who has their own law firm, and they refer to the attorneys who work for them as their associates.
Right.
There is no partner because they are the owner of the law firm. Everyone else is their associate.
Right. And when there are partners at a law firm, but that is also not in your family member's law firm, but in other, when you hear somebody say, I made partner, there is a whole other financial piece. And then a lot of times too, like law firms, other companies, when somebody becomes a partner, there's usually a financial output that they have to do to buy in, because there is a responsibility, loss or profit that comes with that word.
Right. Or there's an assumption of, you assume, salaries for secretaries and assistants and all that kind of stuff. Paralegals.
Exactly.
So it's not just like, oh, hey, you're a partner. Congratulations. It's like, yeah, you may earn more, but sometimes it's better to be an associate, depending on. Anyway, you and I with our tangents. Call us for advice when seeking legal jobs. Also, neither of us have passed a bar in any state or country. However, we have a lot of opinions on it.
Yeah. Yes. I'm telling you guys, though, there is something very significant. God. Oh my gosh. Nope.
Right.
And we both have family members who are in the legal profession, which makes us experts. But again, you guys, you also don't put the word owner on somebody's business card unless they're a freaking owner. I just think that is the biggest red flag, is that you would never do that. Put owner on somebody's business card. You could put head buyer, and that would be enough for the purposes that they said that they were doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And last week I was like very much more on Naomi's side. And again, guys, this is all opinion, right? And I still stand by what I stand by, which is our follower who's an attorney had a lot of good insights that may kind of.
Yes, I'm going to share that
out
in like a minute. Yeah.
What I'm saying, but my opinion on it is, and again, because, listen, I was raised by attorneys, okay? So let's just leave it there. Your name's got to be on the documents.
Yep.
That's the number one thing that I learned being raised by attorneys. And the second thing I learned is you have to read the documents before you sign them.
Yes. 100%.
And this is basic stuff, right?
It is.
So like at a minimum, Ginny was naive. Well,
I absolutely think that is 100% the case. I get the feeling too that Naomi didn't know as much because, so here's the other thing. So when they say in the lawsuit, you have to invest to be an owner and that Ginny's lawyers must not know much about being an owner, that's actually, Naomi's lawyers are wrong. You do not, like we just talked about, you do not have to necessarily invest in a company to be an owner. I could, start a business tomorrow and give half to my kid, and that would just be my choice, right? And sweat equity. And so our cocktailer talked about this too. Sweat equity is a real thing. I mean, there's a lot of startups, look at Shark Tank or any, Airbnb, a lot of those where the founders went and they had to get capital, right. Like just because they didn't put money in or as much money as investor didn't make them no longer an owner of the company.
But our website is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Because when you and I met, you said to me, it would cost you X for me to build this.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
On something that I didn't know if it would be profitable.
Right.
And you said, but I think what we should do, because I believe in it and you believe in it, is we're going to make it. And you get this percentage and I get this percentage.
Yeah.
And so, the reality is that if Amanda had come to me, right, and said it, it would have been the same thing. Because yes, she's building the site, but she needs the tea, which is my skill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
My skill is nonsense.
No. I don't know. I think it was a great meeting of the minds.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, listen, people assume things like,
right.
I just find it odd that in a lawsuit, Naomi has things that aren't legally true.
It's weird because
who's her attorney?
Even the cocktailer who reached out had said, she's like, generally when you say partner, unless it implies 50-50, unless it's on paper otherwise. And then she also said the same thing about sweat equity. Sweat equity is like a lot of partnerships that have unequal monetary contributions will start when one party provides more sweat equity. Okay, I have a couple other things that I want to get back to what the cocktailer said too. But even outsiders, and guys, I don't have an MBA. I've just been in business that long enough that I understand how this stuff works. I know that some of these things these lawyers are saying is not true. So that is concerning.
I have a PhD, a player hater degree.
Okay. And this is the other big one. So this is another thing I just know from having been in business where Naomi alleges that if Ginny was an owner, she committed tax fraud by not claiming it on her taxes. So here's the thing. So when you're a partner in an LLC or even a sole owner, so you have to wait for the company to close its books and file its own taxes. So the thing with LLCs, and we won't go too much into this, but LLCs don't actually pay their own taxes like a corporation does. The owners, it's passed through to the owners. So there is a document that is called a K-1. You can't get that document until the company closes its books and files its tax paperwork. So then you get a K-1. But if you don't have a K-1 and you don't have the books, you can't just claim on your taxes that you're an owner. You have to know, okay, out of the exactly how much profit am I claiming towards my taxes? So there's for Naomi to even say that in a legal document is extremely odd to me because in my company, I couldn't just be like, oh, I think it's somewhere around, 30K is what I've got to pay. No, you have to have a K1. Like it's insane to me that they would have put that in there. And then this is another thing that is very, very interesting. So in the document, Naomi uses the words, or the lawyers use the word independent contractor, employee, and salary interchangeably regarding Ginny. Those are very much not the same. Like an independent contractor does not make a salary. When you pay a salary, you have to pay payroll tax, social security tax, benefits. Only salaried employees get that. And that is a big thing in HR, in tax, and all that stuff. You never use those words interchangeably. So again, not a good sign for Naomi's lawyers to have that in a written document. I want to share the other stuff. So we have our Legal Eagle cocktailer. She pointed out that if Naomi said she would take out a salary in a lump sum equal to Ginny, this also indicates that the partnership is 50-50. She said she agreed with our comments from last week that a lot of partnerships start with unequal monetary contributions when one provides more sweat equity, that if all of the initial, this is what I was trying to say, and I think our cocktailer says it way better than the way I was trying to say it. If all the initial capital, so we remember there was a loan from Naomi's dad, was from the dad, then that would actually mean that neither Naomi or Jenny nor Jenny made that initial capital contribution, which would mean that, you know, unless the money was loaned to Naomi directly and then Naomi put it in the business, that would be a slightly different situation. But anyway, there's a lot of things that are just really interesting, and we would love to hear more actually from our Legal Eagle correspondent now that we have been talking about the other side of the lawsuit, and where I would love to hear what her opinion is on all of this. But
yes,
anyway, that is the deep dive, guys. So
I think, okay, I'm going to give my opinion very quickly.
Yes.
I think I stand by what I said last week, which is that friends can go into business together as long as they treat it like a business and not like a play date. So I think that both ladies are guilty of not handling things properly from the beginning. And I get it. You start an online thing. You don't really, first of all, Naomi is a public figure, so she should anticipate that it's going to be a big success. And as a public figure, I think it's okay if she said to Ginny, listen, we're partners, but I'm 60, you're 40, or in other words, yes, obviously her being a public figure may drive more traffic to the site, right? So if she wanted to work that into the deal and Ginny agreed to it, that's one thing. I think Ginny just assuming that she would get 50% with it not being in writing is naive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Naomi referring to her as a partner and leading her to believe, in other words, it was on her business card. This girl believed she was a partner. So Naomi lied to her.
Yeah.
Or she changed her mind, but it all ends in the fact that then she deserves a buyout or whatever it is. And I think that it'll be a settle out of court sort of situation. I think that there will be a number on it and it will start low. And depending how gangster Ginny wants to get, she's going to get a lump sum.
I agree. I think it'll cost each side at least $100K to see all this all the way through to trial. It is so expensive.
And, they're not kids either. And I don't know Ginny from a can of paint, but I know that Naomi's mom is a very established woman, and her and her father owned restaurants and several businesses. So she may have known what she was doing. And if that's the case, she really took advantage of Ginny. And if not, and she really thought, oh, let's be partners. And then Ginny took a couple dresses and she got pissed off. She went in her computer, she got pissed off and she cut her out. Well, guess what? You're going to have to buy her out now. You're going to have to do something because it was on a business card. It's in text messages. It's in emails. The girl worked for you. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. Because even if Ginny did do what she did, even if she did steal, that doesn't change. That's why I'm trying to say we got to separate those claims, right? Because if Ginny did what Ginny stole, that doesn't erase if Naomi lied about the partnership. Those are two separate issues. But I think you're right too. They'll go to mediation or whatever, and there'll be a lump sum, and the amount of money that Naomi or that Ginny stole in terms of merchandise and whatever will probably be removed from that. And then there will be some sort of lump sum. Because I think,
the moral of the story to me is get it all in writing. Even if it's a far-fetched idea, as bravoandcocktails.com was. Get it in writing. Amanda and I have a real legit contract.
Mm-hmm.
We really had attorneys look it over.
Yeah.
And it was worth not $1 at the moment.
Yeah.
But you have to do this because, Charli D'Amelio's got 800 million followers on TikTok. Why not us?
I gotta say, I think based on what I'm reading, and again, me and my non-legal degree, I think Naomi is very exposed with this. If Ginny has the proof that she says she does.
Yeah, it's going to be a settlement. What it's going to come down to is how big of a settlement.
Yeah.
And if Ginny really doesn't have much money, right? Obviously, Naomi's playing with a fuller deck.
Right.
You say to yourself, is she going to settle for $25K? Is she going to push it and then go to trial and then have a jury decide that, this girl was stupid and she doesn't owe her anything?
Right.
That's always what is the thing with settlements.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. We'll stay on this one. Okay. So, guys, we're coming to the part of the show where we were telling you we're going to talk about Tell Me Lies. So if you have not finished the show, pause it right now. Come back when you've watched it, because we don't want to spoil this for anybody. I am dying to know what you think of the finale, B.
I wish we would have covered every episode.
I know.
Okay. So I wasn't surprised that Steven was driving. I totally assumed that. Like, the moment he was telling Lucy, in my head, I was like, he was driving. I wasn't surprised of his treatment of Macy. Like, you know what I'm talking. Like, he just goes in the room and
dismissive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was disturbed by it, but I wasn't surprised by it. I think Lucy got what was coming to her when he walked down the stairs with Diana. And a lot of my followers were like playing, what was the song? Bright Side?
By the Killers.
By the Killers.
That's so funny that the followers are saying that, because like that to me was the standout moment. Like, you see them slowly walking down, and that
people were really taken by the song choice. I don't think I noticed it. I'll be honest. I want to rewatch that, because what I was thinking, Amanda, was I was thinking Lucy was going to walk in on them hooking up. Were you thinking that?
I honestly, I was not even thinking about that far ahead. I was just, because I was watching Diana and I'm like, what? Diana, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go move on. There's so many more interesting people, I'm sure, at this party than Steven.
I know, but when you're 19, you want to win.
Yeah.
And I think it became about that for her.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I want to see what you think about this. I think that Lucy walking in on him and her hooking up wouldn't have been as bad as him holding hands with her publicly and leaving her there, because if she walked in on him, it would be, oh my God, he got caught cheating, which is no surprise. What he did was like such a burn. Like, it took me aback.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like, I knew he was we know that he uses them interchangeably. So it wouldn't have been a surprise if they hooked up. But when he just did that, I was like, he wasn't even trying to hide it, knowing what Lucy has on him. Although we know that she won't, because he threatened her back. So,
yeah.
Okay. Your thoughts before I say too much?
No, I mean, same on all of that. I think we underestimated Diana, by the way. I think we all just underestimated. I really did not see that coming. I saw maybe them hooking up again, but I did not see her being so manipulative.
I don't know. Something about her. She's got boss energy.
I don't know. And then, honestly, it didn't surprise me that Lucy slept with Evan later that night. It didn't surprise me at all, because I have the highest of opinion about Lucy.
Right. And they've been teeing that up for a long time.
Yeah.
With Evan and her.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's Steven, sociopath, psychopath, whatever he is. Lucy, I want to say, I don't like her. But then I try to say to myself, remember, she's 18. Remember, she's dealt with the traumatic thing with her mother and her father passing away, right? So I try to give her grace because of that. The Evan thing, I was more mad at him because I feel like he's just wanted to hook up with Lucy, and then he got with Brie and he like fell for her and was so into her, and the fact that he still did it, like, yeah, Lucy had a traumatic experience. yeah, Lucy got really drunk. What's his excuse? And like, you know that Brie like opened up to you and
Yeah,
about
that's true.
foster child
What
and
is
all
his
these things. Like,
excuse?
what's his excuse? Like, I don't want to hear he got too drunk. That's not an excuse. He didn't go through a traumatic experience. Well, I don't know what his family life is like, right? I'm just saying it's not okay that Lucy did it. But why did he do it?
I think
Because Lucy's hot and he wanted to hook up with Lucy. And if Lucy turned around and said, I want to date you, fuck Brie, what would he do? Like, screw Brie, she's out of the picture. He'd probably go with Lucy.
when you're 20 years old and I mean, not that I am excusing it, but I think that's partly why this show is so interesting is you don't cheer for any, like, you're kind of all of the people are like have
Except
dirty
Brie.
underbellies. Yeah. Yeah. Except for Brie. You're right.
And Pippa doesn't really have a dirty underbelly. She shared that she was like bullied, which I found that a little exaggerated and honestly kind of hard to believe, right? Like that she never had a friend, like that was too much. But okay, that's the storyline that they're going with. So I don't find that she did anything wrong other than keeping the secret about Drew for Wrigley.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think her intentions are kind of pure.
I mean, Lucy also wrote the letter and is just letting Pippa take the fall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Lucy and Steven, that's the thing. It's so interesting. It's like they're doing the same shit, right? Like Steven completely let Drew take the blame for this accident and let it get in between his relationship with his brother. They're doing exactly the same thing, just with different people. And they're being just as manipulative and letting other people take the fall for stuff.
So she's a sociopath too.
I mean, I kind of think so. And that's what I think is so interesting. It's like, but why am I cheering for her kind of? Like, because I guess the show...
for her.
I guess,
listen, I always sympathize with the woman more. So
if
we're looking at when it's a situation of her and Steven, yes, I'm more on her side. But in every other relationship, I'm not on her side. And even with her mother, like, I hate to say it like that, her mother is a good mother to her. And she's so mean to her. I understand it's trauma and her father passed. I understand all of that. But I just remember when she first got there in the beginning and she was just so mean.
Lucy or the mom?
Lucy,
yeah.
She was even mean to Macy. I don't want to go out. Like,
yeah.
She is just gluttonous person. Like, she's gluttonous about her own feelings.
Yeah.
Like, if she feels bad, nothing else exists and she'll burn the whole house down.
Yeah, totally.
And like, it can't all be youth and trauma. Some of that is like who you are.
Yeah. And I think that is why, again, like, why I think the show is so interesting is because there is no perfect angel, other than Brie, even the mother, right? Like, awful thing that she went through. But again, like, having a sick partner, I mean, that's got to be like it's life is complicated is the theme, I guess. So I had to text you because I was watching it last night. I'm like, who is that? Who is that we're supposed to know who this is?
I didn't know either. And I posted, I was like, who the fuck is this? And everyone's like, Lydia, her childhood friend. Totally forgot about her.
Oh, okay. So, but interesting. And that makes sense because I was like, why are they spending all this time on her calling her friend and her friend being like, I'm going on a road trip with my friends and blah, 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 other than to make like Lucy, like, just seem a little bit more sad and more pathetic, right? Like,
right. And so many of my followers have sent me theories on what they think happens with that. Somebody said they think that Lucy goes on the trip to India that she had been talking about. And since they're a town over, he seeks her out and the friend doesn't even realize it's the same person at first, which tracks.
There's something interesting. Remember how on Christmas break...
But why is the friend so friendly to her? Like, obviously Lucy's mad about this. Or does Lucy play it off? Or does Lucy do something fucked up?
Yeah. Well, remember how during Christmas break, Lucy is hanging out with Lydia and lies that... Because, she went to the hotel with that other guy, the bartender, but lies and said that it was Steven. She lies to Lydia about that. I'm like, there's something going to be about that's going to come back up too. So
yes, and also the bartender is the same guy she's with present day. You know that, right?
Oh no, I didn't realize that.
The tattoos, it's the same guy.
Oh, he's kind of
what? She's a fucking sociopath. You're right.
I mean, they both are. So anyway, Cocktailers, we got to talk about this. I'm very curious to hear what everybody else is thinking about it. But
I almost want to rewatch because I watch things so half-assed because honestly, I'm checking DMs, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I need to like really invest my time.
I am telling you guys, like the sex
patience.
scenes are like raw in like the best of ways. Like he like puts on a condom. I mean, there is like very stuff that you don't usually see that side of it on TV, and it's good. So just watch it for the sex at the very least.
Yes, the sex is good. I mean, I don't know. He kind of skeeves me out. His body's great. I don't think his face is great. I think it's because he makes those crazy eyes. You know what I'm talking about?
I agree.
When he's intense.
Yeah.
By the way, he's Peg Bundy's real life son. Did we say that already?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and she plays his mother on the show.
Yes, I knew that, but I didn't know their
Think of her real name. Yes.
Oh, funny.
And Lucy and Steven are dating in real life. Hopefully, they're more normal in real life.
Yes. Well, we did know that. There's something about her. And, it's so funny. I was watching it last night and I'm like, perfect example right there of what we were talking about, remember when I was like, I didn't know how to do my hair really until my 30s. Like she comes, in the modern day and her hair is like done. And like before it was always just like kind of like kinky, like she slept on it, whatever. And I'm like, that's exactly like just a nice little visual insight in there, guys, about like what it really means to come into your own when you're kind of in your 30s. So anyway, well, I guess it's sounding like there's going to be another season. So that's good.
There's got to be another season.
For sure. Well, I think that's all we have for today. But thank you guys so much for hanging in there. Definitely want to hear your thoughts on the Naomi court case and
hanging in there like they're old, like injured.
Oh, no, did I say that? I meant more hanging in there with the whole Instagram account is what I meant.
Yes, follow Cocktails and Gossip. I mean, if it's not fixed by next week.
Thanks for letting us torture you for an hour and a half every week, guys. Oh, God. Sometimes this is why I could never be on Housewives because I never remember, like, I think I'm saying something that I'm not saying. And then I remember things being said slightly differently than they really were. Like with the whole Kyle saying that she didn't or thought she didn't or didn't hear it.
Right.
The slur. So anyway, thank you guys for being
Cocktailers, you're the best.
Great cocktailers. Yes. We appreciate it.
And if you work for Instagram, call me. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Just want to ask you guys a favor, just getting kicked off. So many people have been asking us to do this podcast. So please do subscribe. And if you've subscribed, go to your podcast app and hit those 3 little dots to share with your friends, but only friends who like good tea, because the ones who don't care about tea, then like forget them. And don't forget, find us on Instagram at bravoandcocktails_. And check out the website because some great tea gets put there daily that would get us kicked off of Instagram. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next time.